project, we are going to need a cardboard box, because we're using cardboard, we're recycling. We're going to use a utility knife, a cutting mat, foam core. You may not need the foam core because you may want to keep the bottom of this and you may want to use it as a bottom, but I want to cut it out and use a stronger piece of material, so I'm going to use a foam core, foam board. And you will need glue gun and glue stick. Okay, there. And you may or may not need a straight edge. I'm going to use a straight edge because I'm going to use a utility knife to cut out the foam core. I've already cut out the foam core. I used this old foam core, and I was going to use this one, but I realized that I don't need all of it, so I'm going to use this. I cut it out already. I took pieces off other foam core that I have, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace the box. Right, so this is enough to trace the box that I have here. Okay, a little pencil. You may need pencil too. Probably will need pencil. So I'm going to cut it from, I'm going to line it up around here at the edge. And then I'm just going to trace it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to, this is the first time doing this. And I don't know if I'm going to actually need, I may have to cut again, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, that looks like about right, so now I'm going to cut this all out. Now notice what I used to piece this together. See, it's pieced together, it's pretty sturdy. Okay, so I stripped, those are strips, and I made my cutout, the lines to cut out, and so I'm just going to cut it out with my trusty straight edge and my utility knife. Now, try to get as close as possible to your edges. And try and get your cut right along the edge of your straight edge, because when you cut, foam core or foam board is like water. It follows a path. And if you cut out the wrong way, the next cut is going to be the same cut. It's going to follow that cut. Okay, so quickly, not too quickly I should say, you want to make sure you line it up well. And right against the straight edge. All the way down. This is a soft foam core. This is very soft. It's easy to cut. This is a cheaper version and a dollar store version, so it's really easy to cut, which I kind of love. And it's still pretty sturdy. So this is what's done so far. Okay, so I'm gonna, that's one side of the box. Okay, remember we haven't put on the bottom piece yet. Okay, okay, so what's happening is that just make sure that when you are putting this on the fabric or paper, whatever it is you're going to put on it, that you apply the glue along the fold, okay? And then you apply it when you bend it. Don't apply the glue on the straight. Apply it when you on the bend, so that because I've done this part. So this part, for instance, now I'm going to put the glue on the bend. Okay. Then I'm going to use this and push it down, so that when you're bending it, it bends easily without any problem. If you were to just apply the glue when it's straight and flat like this, you probably wouldn't get a good bend. So you gotta bend it, and then you get a good give. Okay, that's what you do. So now I'm going to continue on with this part. Okay, now okay, so I finished putting on the entire fabric on my entire cardboard, and I've also added one pocket here on my right, as you can see. So at this point, you may want to even make a template to have for future projects. It's pretty easy to fold. I can show you how I do it. I'll show you how I fold up my cardboard with the use of my utility knife and my straight edge and a small piece of cardboard. I'm going to show you how I do it. So it's simple. You just make a score inside in the cardboard. You don't want to go through the cardboard, you just want to make a slight scoring of it. And this will cause your cardboard to bend. So just like this. You can also score it at different areas, and you can also score it on the underside too, to get a different bend facing in different directions. So if I score on the opposite side, then I am going to get a bend, and it's going to bend in the opposite direction, like this. And this is a way you can fold up your cardboard or your foam board if you wanted to save them for another time. And I think this is great for large pieces of scrap foam board or cardboard that you have at home. With the pocket, you can either add a base to it, or you don't even have to add a base, because you can actually, maybe if you want to hang things up, like maybe if you you make like say jewelry, if you have your tools, you can also make it so it has a opening at the bottom. You can just stick them in. You don't have to make a base. I have a base on the pocket. You don't have to. Now, I'll show you here how I make my curves by just rolling up long pieces of cardboard, and then you get a nice curve like this. And just give it a nice pull towards you, soften it up a little bit. Now, I was going to make a handle or a strap for this, but I decided I couldn't, of course, obviously, because I have a flap. So I decided to make handles on either side instead. Now I'm trying to find the other piece, which is I just had just 2 seconds ago and I'm forgetting where I put it. Oh, here it is, right over here where I left it. Okay, and so I'm going to use the same piece that I was going to use for my strap. I'm going to size it up to see if that's where I want it on either side of my box. And I'm going to cut it. I'm going to measure it and cut it and make my handles and I'm going to of course cover it up just like I covered it up earlier when I covered up the whole entire box. That you're going to cover it the same way. So of course, you know, I like to use my utility knife and my straight edge because it always gives me great straight cuts all the time. Make sure your utility knife is in good condition, that it's sharp. Once it gets dull, you don't want to use it because it will not cut proper and it will leave little strips of cardboard or paper, and you don't want that. So here I'm folding it up, and this is how I want it. And as usual, I'm going to make sure that this is how I want it to be before I actually make it. I like to always double check and triple check. So as you can see, above my pocket, I made one of the handles, and I've secured it with my rivets. So I'm just going to show you how I did it. I use a reamer, and I use the reamer to poke holes into my raw cardboard to make sure it's going to fit. And you can see the reamer poking out. What I like to do is I like to use a marker, like a permanent marker, and I like to use that marker to show where where the hole is. Even though I made the hole, it just makes it easier to see. Because sometimes you poke the hole and you still can't see the hole. So that's the reason why I use the marker. And then I'm going to secure it, like I said, with the rivets. Now, there are a lot of YouTubers that are excellent. I guess you call them, they work with leather and materials like that, and they're excellent. They know how to use rivets. I just use the rivets for my own self, I guess. Like, there's no, I don't know exactly how it's, I know how it's done basically, but I'm not an expert at it. So YouTube is a great source for learning the technique, a great technique. And you have to make sure that when you get your rivets that they're going to fit. So I have different size rivets, so I have to play with them and see which one's going to go through. Some of them are too short and some are way too long, so you have to get the right length. Okay, so I have both of my handles on. Now I'm going to make my second pocket, and as you can see, I'm ready to go. I have all my holes prepared, lined up. What you want to do is, what I do is I take a tape and I just use the tape to shape my pocket, and then I'm going to get scrap cardboard and I am going to outline it. So I'm going to outline the shape at the bottom, and I'm going to use my utility knife, once again my sharp utility knife, and I am going to cut it out. These are some of my favorite tools. I love my utility knife, and I love my straight edge, and I love my glue gun. They're great tools to have at home for anything. So I'm going to put this aside, and then I'm going to proceed with my second pocket, and that's going to be done exactly the same way as I did with the handle. I ended up on the floor because it's a bit tougher doing this. Once you get your rivet through, then you're usually good to go. So I see now that it's secure enough, and I'm satisfied with it. And so what I've done now is I've just secured my base, the base of the pocket, with glue gun, with hot glue, sorry, and of course the use of my glue gun. Can't use a hot glue without glue gun. So as you can see, I'm fiddling around with this flat piece of covered cardboard. That was actually the flap. That was the top of the cardboard box. And I took it off because I realized, you know what, I really didn't like the flap after all. So I decided to take it off, and I'm going to use it I'm going to use it as a divider. So right here, I'm just putting on I should say not putting on I am actually putting up the sides with glue, hot glue again. Hot glue goes very well with the cardboard. It works really, really well with the foam board and cardboard. I remember the first time I used hot glue, it was my daughter that actually taught me how to use it. Yeah. And now I use it all the time. So big up to my daughter Safia. Okay, yeah, so here I am now, and I'm almost finished. Almost there. I know this is a little, the video, it's a little long, but it's sometimes it's difficult to actually make a video short. It's difficult to cram it in. You try and you edit and you try and you edit, and sometimes it's just a little difficult. So um, I just do it, and if it's going to be long, it will just have to be long, and hopefully people will watch it. But anyway, I'm almost done. And so, like I said, I took off the flap. Remember the flap I had earlier? I decided to take it off. So, sometimes as you're doing your project, sometimes you change in midway through or close to the end. You realize, it's not going to work, or I don't like it, doesn't look good. So I took it off, and I had to do some adjustments, and then I